What is going on, everybody, and welcome to Storm the Field with DJ, and we are here for my final thoughts for the game between the Oregon Ducks and the Oregon State Beavers. Let's get into this. So, the first thing I want to bring up is something that was scaring me a little throughout this week was that Decorion Moore was rumored to be injured. Looking at the injury reports from multiple sources, it does not seem like he is injured. However, Noah Whittington continues to remain injured. However, he is listed as questionable for this game, and Dan Lanning said it would more or less be a game time decision. Um, I really don't know if he would play. I mean, it's a rivalry game, but Oregon State is not a good team by any chance. Let him rest and allow him to regain all his strength before putting him back on the field, because your next game is going to be against the number 2 team in the country. So you got to have your best players, and you got to have Whittington. So if it's worth it, I don't know. I don't know. Game time decision. I trust Dan Lanning and whatever decision he ends up making. Um, We still have no disclosure on if Decorion Moore is injured. Again, could very easily be that he is not, but seeing rumors all week is a little bit scary. Um, However, I do think the Ducks receiving core is good enough to play without him, even though he is our probably our best receiver as a true freshman. He has been great this season already. I think Malik Benson, the Florida State transfer, is actually really good. I've said it before on videos, but I think he was the only bright spot of that Florida State offense last season. So, I mean, looking at it, I think we're fine. I do think the Ducks are going to be a-okay. I've explained how I think this game is going to go in my preview video, but games change at the end of the day. They are not always what you expect them to be. No one expected Oregon, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl to be a blowout. No one expected Georgia Tech to beat Miami. No one expected Syracuse to beat Miami. No one expected to see FIU beat Miami a couple of years back. No one expected to see NIU beat Notre Dame. So games are always played for a reason, and that reason is because anything could happen any given Saturday. Now, I do think the Ducks have a very big advantage here on the fact that they're playing at Autzen. I will be at this game. This will be my first Civil War. Um, and I just got news that they are renewing it until 2032. So take a year off in 2026. 2027 it resumes until 2032. Um, but the Ducks, all they really need to do is control the line of scrimmage. Looking at Oregon State's highlights of the season, their defensive line has not been doing much. They have not been putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and they've been making a lot of mistakes, which has been costing them their games. So if the O-line for the Ducks could hold up, I think it's going to be a massive, massive advantage in the Ducks' favor. The other thing the Ducks have, they got a good secondary. The Ducks secondary is really good this year. I do think it's going to be one of the best in the nation by the time that this season ends. Um, I don't exactly know how to pronounce his name, but let me see if I could find how you say this name. Um, he's a cornerback. Obidegwu. Obidegwu. Iffy. I'm gonna call him Iffy. If Iffy has been playing good, and he is a true freshman, I believe at least. It just says doesn't say right shirt. But he is a freshman, so we have him at least for a couple more years. He looks like he has been playing well. Of course, Teo and Teoti have been playing insane off the edge, getting a lot of pressure. That the transfer Bear Alexander has also been doing very well on the D line. Bryce Betcher has been good patrolling the center of the field. Of course, had an interception last week against Northwestern and did very well in that game, I do believe. He is a very good leader for this defense. And I'm going to be sad to see him leave at the end of this year. I thought he was going to leave last year, decided to stay. Happy about it, but really wish I could have seen him a couple more years. Um, he brings such a leadership to that defensive group. That's a big advantage that the Ducks have over the Beavs. One other thing is I do think that the run game is deep enough for the Ducks. The Ducks have a very deep run game with not Jordan Lyle, Jalen Lamar. We haven't seen much out of Makai Hughes, but I still think he has some potential. He was the top running back in the transfer class for a reason. Um, of course, Derry Hill Jr. played amazing against Northwestern. Um, this running back room is deep, man. Even without Noah Whittington, this running back room is deep. And I do think it is deep enough to continue running the ball over a team like Oregon State, especially with a bad defensive line. Um, of course, Dante Moore has been playing amazing. Um, looking out for Malik Murphy's dual threat ability is going to be interesting. We have not truly faced a dual threat quarterback yet. The closest thing we had was Preston Stone, and even then, that wasn't. Um, this is going to be more or less the Ducks' real first ish test. Because week one, you were playing an FCS school. Now, FCS schools can win it. They beat Army. You're not being a top 5 team in the country as an FCS school. So, that one, more or less automatic win. Two, you're playing Oklahoma State with a backup quarterback who is making their first college start. So he's not even the starting quarterback. He's a backup making his first college start. Basically, your defense is going to eat him alive, especially if you have such a talented group like the Ducks. Northwestern, a little bit more of a test with the away game and all. Um, still were able to handle business. Preston Stone did make a lot of mistakes that ended up really stopping the Northwestern offense from getting more points on the board. Um, so this is really the first test that Oregon has. They have a rivalry game, which always increases the level at which teams play. An okay team will play good. A great team will play amazing. Uh, the best of the best will be even better because that hatred just flows through. And I'm repeating what I said in my preview video because it is so true. A rivalry game is so different than any other game. That's why for these two this week specifically, I'm decently scared for both teams. I'm decently scared for the Ducks and for the Hurricanes. I do think both will pull out the dub in good in like good aspects and play it well, but there's a lot higher of a chance of the upset occurring compared to any other week because they are rivals. You want to beat your rivals no matter what. I've said this before and it might be an unpopular opinion, but if I win 5 straight national titles, but every single one of those years I lose to my rival, I'm not sure if I would take that deal. Not 100% sure. Like, that's how much the rivalry means. Because at the end of the day, that's your biggest game of the year no matter what is your rival. You want to beat them, you want to put your all into that game, and so you play better. It's simple as that. So at the end of the day, the Ducks will have a little bit more of a challenge against the Beavs than I think the other teams have had. Um, because they will be playing so much harder than they did against other teams. But I still think the Ducks are too good to let this one go, especially in the new Shoe Duck uniform. That is a very nice uniform. Um, but yeah, that's about it. I really do think the Ducks will be able to come out on top on this one and be able to basically take the Beavers and seal off the Civil War before we go on a break, and that would be a 3-year winning streak for the Ducks. Yeah, we lost in 2022. Yeah, a 3-year winning streak for the Ducks to end off the Civil War, which would be great. Um, and yeah, I mean the Apple Cup is also happening, so I'm really hoping Washington State pulls that one off. Uh, but yeah, that's about it. I bleed orange and green and yellow, and DJ out. I'll see you all next time.